And once again, we are back with another episode of the Becca's Talking Podcast, brought to you by the fine folks at Havana Garage. I'll be talking with this gentleman here in a second. Fascinating story. You may recognize him as he's been around the Omaha for a number of years. But before we get to Dean, I want to talk to you about the folks at Havana Garage in the Old Market. It's a great cigar bar. But, to call it a cigar bar, it's more than that. I mean, yeah, they got a wonderful humidor with a nice selection. You can go and enjoy a cigar and relax. But it's also just a great place to go and unwind. Good cocktail selection. They've got a wonderful whiskey selection, nice Scotch selection. But also they've got an atmosphere there that's kind of reminiscent of the old Rat Pack days, with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Joey Bishop and the whole gang. Anyway, check it out. In the Old Market, it's been there forever. Havana Garage. Tell them you heard about it on the Becca's Talking Podcast. My guest today is Dean Battiato. Dean, otherwise known as the Rose Man of Omaha. Yes. Dean, if for those that don't know, Dean goes around and he sells roses at various bars and restaurants on the weekends, and it's pretty much just the weekends that you're working?
Right now, yeah, ever since COVID hit.
Just the weekends, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's a lot more to Dean's story than just selling flowers in the bars and restaurants in town. Dean is, you're autistic.
Yeah. They call it on the spectrum.
You're on the spectrum. Okay, you're on the spectrum. Do you know to the different types of autism? What type do you have? Do you know? Or?
Well, they used to call it Asperger's, and they, for whatever reason, they did away with that. But that's what, I had Asperger's, which is usually, maybe not all, but usually a high-functioning form of autism.
Yeah. Now, you didn't know that you had Asperger's as a child, right, growing up?
I mean, it existed, but people, especially in America, didn't really know about it.
Yeah. So
I didn't find out till I was about 40 years old.
About 40 years old is when you found out.
Because my brother, who became a guidance counselor, he was working with a kid one day, and he just found his mannerisms so similar to mine when I was a kid. And then we kind of looked into it, researched it, and it's pretty obvious.
And you say high-functioning autism. How? Because I have the child of a cousin of mine has high-functioning autism.
Okay.
And he's like an expert. And this little kid, he's an expert on dinosaurs. He just knew everything he needed to know about dinosaurs. But that's your high-functioning autism manifests itself in a different way, doesn't it?
Well, it's a lot of different things. In autism, they have what they call specialized interest. So with your nephew or whoever, because specialized interest would be dinosaurs. With me, there's a couple things. When I was a kid, I collected baseball cards with my brother, and I got to the point where I was reading on the back. They had the stats and whatnot, and they had the birthdays. And so I don't know why, I just started memorizing the players' birthdays, and then I memorized like my relatives, and then my kids I went to school with, and it was just second nature that I could remember birthdays.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're going to put you to the test a little bit later on. Because it really is. It is quite fascinating. But before I get to that, what was it like growing up, not knowing you were autistic, not knowing you were on the spectrum, growing up? Was it hard?
It was just maybe different. I didn't know any better. There were a lot of things that would interest kids that I had no interest in.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I couldn't wait to grow up.
Yeah, because kids can be cruel.
Well, there wasn't really that much. I didn't really get bullied that much.
You didn't? Okay, good.
But it was just like going to the zoo or something like that. I had no interest in.
No interest in that. Besides birthdays, what does interest you?
Well, I like music a lot, so I could talk about music here all you want. I also do a thing called numerology. It was put together by Pythagoras. If you remember geometry class, he had
Mm-hmm.
the Pythagorean theorem.
I remember the name Pythagoras theorem, but I have no clue. I cannot remember for the life of me just what that is.
Yeah, wasn't good in geometry. In fact, the year I had to take geometry, there was a flu epidemic in the school, so everybody kind of got to work at their own pace. That's the only reason I passed geometry.
But okay, so yeah, with your classwork, if you didn't have interest in like things like the field trips to the zoo and stuff like that, and you had an interest in special things like birthdays and music and whatever, was it hard for you to get an education? Was it hard for you to graduate and to move on to up to the process, or
No, I did well in
or
school.
was it
I
even
liked
easier
school.
maybe because your mind worked in a different way?
I like school. School was
Yeah. People look at you and they see you walking around selling flowers. They might have a different impression of you, right? I mean,
a lot of people think I'm just, I don't know, angry or in a bad mood,
uh-huh.
and I'm not. It's just that one of the aspects of the Asperger's is that you kind of have. It's hard for you to show emotion, and you have kind of a flat affect, and it's just kind of natural, you know.
Do you like socializing with people?
For the most part, I'm better, you know, with like right now with one-on-one than maybe in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Like traveling to Europe with a group doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
I would love to do it. I would love to travel there, but I would like to either do it.
Do you do any traveling?
Actually, last year I went to Sicily. Went back to my grandfather's hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you're Italian.
Yeah.
And the former county assessor, Diane Battiato, is she a relative or is she a...
That's kind of a long story.
Okay. All right, I don't want to get into anything. That was another name that people would recognize. That's why I was asking.
But that is part of the...
Yeah. So okay. So, how did you get into selling roses? Was it a
I
thing
saw
where...
an ad in the paper. Actually, I had done it a couple of times earlier, and they didn't hire me because I think they wanted a woman. But then the last time, the woman happened to be married to a guy I knew in college. And she asked him, well, what, should I hire this guy or not? He says, well, I don't know if he can sell, but he's honest. So she hired me.
She hired you, and then now do you work for her still, or do you work on your own?
No, I worked for 2.5 years, and then I figured out I didn't need her.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, that was the toughest part. She was my main competition because she would hire other people to sell roses, and she would like assign them to certain bars. So it got to the point where I'd be driving around 11 o'clock at night trying to figure out what bar to go to because some bar might be assigned to somebody else. So that's
how do people react when you? Because I've seen you when you have a basket full of roses, different colors, right, for different emotions and that. And when you walk up to a table, how do people react to you?
First of all, sometimes they don't know what I'm doing, so that's maybe the first thing. But I don't. Excuse me. I don't. I just say, pick up my roses, show it to them because it's a visual thing, and I just say in Italian, "Che bella rosa," which means "what a beautiful rose," and that's all I basically do. There's no sales pitch. I don't want to, I don't want to invest a bunch of time trying to sell a rose if they're not going to buy one anyway. And even if they do, they're probably not going to buy one again. And it's just a waste of, it's just investment of time. It's, you've always heard sales is a numbers business, and it is. The more people I can get in front of, the more people I will sell to. So,
do you do anything else? Any other jobs? Any other employment?
I've done off and on. I also do genealogy work for people.
I'm sorry, the what?
Genealogy.
Oh, genealogy. Okay.
Tracing your ancestors.
Well, that sort of goes along with your interest in people's birthdays.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Now, do you study all these birthdays, or is it a thing where you just sort of, like, somehow just know it?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, you see these psychics once in a while, and they see something, and it's kind of like the way I am. I will see, might be something I have not thought about or in years, but if they mention somebody's name, then I kind of like come in like I see it somehow.
Just sort of there, huh? Interesting. So they made a movie about you.
Yes.
That's premiering at the time that we record this. I've not seen it yet, but it will have played at the by the time that we actually put this out. It will have already aired at the Omaha Film Festival.
Well, that's March 13th. I don't know when this is going to come out.
Yeah, this will be out after March 13th. Yeah,
Okay.
so we worked a few weeks ahead of schedule. So it'll be out there. And then, from what I understand, there's already a lot of interest in streaming. And so, you know, people that, because the tickets for the film festival were sold out and a full theater for that. But also, I know that they're planning on doing some streaming, hitting a few other film festivals and then streaming it so that they see your message. What is it about you that you think made them interested in doing a movie about you?
Or maybe it was just kind of mysterious part that the autism played into.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
Do you deal with other people with autism? Do you deal with
I don't really know anybody. I mean, I've had people say to me, I had no idea you were autistic.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, I want to. We're going to get to the birthday. I'm going to test you on birthdays here in just a minute. But before we do that, I got to do another message here from the fine folks at Havana Garage in the Old Market, where you can go and have a nice cocktail, enjoy yourself, and maybe buy a rose. Anyway, stop by, tell Chad that I sent you, and that you heard about it and saw it on the Becca's Talking podcast, which, by the way, new podcast released every Tuesday at 10 a.m., a new podcast. Okay, so I should have had this prepared already. I made notes. I was all set. And then I left it in my briefcase here, so hold on a second. Let me get this.
it's not been rehearsed.
Pardon?
This has not been
rehearsed. No, it's not been rehearsed. No, this is all. Well, you've seen my shows over the years. They're never rehearsed. Yeah, like a well-oiled machine. We're running like a well-oiled machine. Okay, here we go. So I've got a bunch of birthdays here, and I wrote down the dates so I can tell you on it right away. Let's start off with Kansas City kicker Harrison Butker.
I don't even know who that is. I'm not a big football fan.
Oh, you're not football? Okay. Oh,
is he
all right.
current?
Huh?
Is he current?
Yeah, current, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Jan Stenerud.
Okay, yeah. Well, do you know Jan Stenerud? Do you know more of the past people than the current people?
Yeah.
Well, then let's go with the past. Then let's start with B. Arthur.
May 18th. No.
I got May 13th.
I don't know.
Okay. What?
Maybe I'm thinking of the guy that played her husband in Maude.
Who was that?
William something.
Yeah, I can see him, but I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, which very well could be. Yeah. How about let's see, going back here, somebody more local. Do you know Dr. Jeffrey Gold? No? Okay. You know what? I'm throwing these out here, and I apologize. So I know that we've done this before, and you hit them all. But, like, if I mentioned a baseball player, like if I mentioned Rocky Colavito from my beloved Cleveland Indians, Rocky Colavito, you would know.
1933.
When?
August 10th, 1933.
You're right. If mentioned, like, would you know any of the current players? Would you know the birth date of, let's say, Witt? Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt Jr. No, but the old ones you do, huh? What other
I mean, lots of actors or musicians.
actors? Yeah. Okay, Paul McCartney,
June 18th.
June 18th. What about how far deep would you go? Like if I mentioned like the lead singer of the Zombies, or one of those obscure bands from the 60s or 70s, would you know anything like that, or is that just?
Probably not.
Yeah. What about let's see, who else? Somewhat current, but been around in the news all this time. Taylor Swift. No.
No, I know it. December 13th, I think.
December 13th. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyway, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that because I know we've done this in the past, and been primarily though with sports figures, and so I wasn't trying to put you on the spot, but I do find it fascinating how you have that in your mind. So many of the birthdays of Omaha icon Fred Astaire.
May 10th.
May 10th. Yeah, you see, yeah. Who else? Let's see, an old actor, old singer. Oh, we mentioned Frank Sinatra with the Havana Garage. Frank Sinatra, Old Blue Eyes.
December 2nd.
Yeah, that one I know. That one, yep, you're right. Okay, so old singers and old ball players primarily, and some old actors are your forte on this.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, also, just regular people.
Just regular people. When's my birthday?
November 18th.
Yeah, you're right. Who else has what famous cartoon character has the same birthday?
I don't know, Charlie Brown.
No, Mickey Mouse. I share a birthday with Mickey Mouse.
That's another thing. When I was a kid, I hated Charlie Brown. Because what would happen is when they would show his shows, they would preempt the regular shows that I liked.
So it'd be, the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and you had no interest in that because you wanted to see whatever else was normally out at that time.
Or whatever.
Would things like that, like you say, you just didn't care for? Would your temper get upset? Or would you get angry about that sort of a thing? Would it bother you to that point, or just be a thing like, you're disappointed because Charlie Brown's on?
Just a little stressed out.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a big deal or anything, but
what do people?
Sometimes when I don't know, but changes I don't like. I don't like surprises.
You don't like surprises. Well, I think a lot of people that aren't autistic don't like surprises either. A lot of people that aren't autistic don't like surprises either. I know there's been a lot of talk about vaccinations causing autism, but they don't really know, and that's been squashed by 99% of the medical professionals. But they don't really know what causes autism, right? I mean, if this is something that you acquired or something you were born with, or do they know?
I don't think they really know for sure.
Do you care about that sort of thing?
Oh, I'd be interested in finding out. Yeah, sure, but
yeah. What do, besides the fact that people think you're angry all the time, and you do, because I mean you sound like right now you kind of sound like you're bored, but there's a smile that but that's not you're actually very interested in people, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I minored in psychology in college.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always found, psychology, and my main interests were biology, and that's kind of where my interest in genealogy came in. Because I had a teacher in junior high that got me. I was really fascinated by genetics,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I kind of got my interest in genealogy from what I knew in genetics. And then like psychology, political. I minored in psychology and political science in college. So that was an interest. And then always been fascinated by the media.
I know because you and I've had conversations about this over the years, about the media and about the news stories, and you do have a very good recollection of things that go on and history in general. Are you a history buff? Do you like?
When I was a kid, I didn't really like history.
No.
But
Yeah. I've always been a fan of history, and
I've been more. I got into like presidential history. I had kind of an interest in.
Yeah. So when you say genealogy, is that just your family tree, or are you doing other?
I've done basically the two towns in Sicily where many of the Omaha descendants came from. There's two towns right next to each other, and so I kind of researched the whole town.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell me like a last name from that area. I can tell you what town they're from.
Really? And basically from your family in Sicily. I've had not to the extent you have, but a passing interest in my family genealogy, and all I know is that the town that my great grandparents were from in the Czech Republic, what is now the Czech Republic, is now a ghost town. So that's there's really no.
This was years ago, but I don't know if you remember. But I gave you some information on your great grandmother, which all of us was kind of a name.
I don't recall that. No.
If you had put something online and I looked it up, I don't.
Yeah, that would have been Katerina Betchka. Would have been that's how it was pronounced back then, Betchka, in that. So to wrap this up, what would you like people? Because people now that have seen the movie, listen to this podcast, have a better idea of who you are when they see you out on the street now, and that. What would you like people to know about you? Because I think that, like you said, if people first impression, they may get the wrong impression of you. So what would you like people to know about you?
Basically, multifaceted. There's a lot more than, selling roses is my job. But I'm just like everybody else. When, the people that work in an office, when they go home, they have something besides the office that they're involved in. They have their life. And I'm the same way.
What else do you do? I mean, like you said, right now, because you say COVID really hurt your business, so now you just sell roses on the weekend.
All my time is spent doing the genealogy research and putting together that stuff.
Did COVID hurt you because people just aren't going out to the bars and restaurants during the week as much as they used to, or?
Well, a lot of the places have closed. A lot of places that I would go to have closed.
Uh-huh.
So it was like a separate places I would go to during the week versus maybe where I would go on the weekend. But the places I would go during the week just kind of vanished.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough business. And are you pretty much the only one now selling roses in town?
I don't know. When I came back from COVID, there was a woman in Benson that was selling roses. I don't know if she's still there. I haven't gone to Benson for a long time.
Yeah. Where do you primarily work? What part of town?
The Old Market. That's where I start. And then West Omaha.
West Omaha, yeah. Okay. Dean Battiato. The movie is called The Rose Man of Omaha, which will be streaming sometime soon at one of the streaming services near you. The movie, from what I've heard, I've talked to people that have seen it already, and they have high praise for it. So I'm sure it'll probably be shown here in at a regular theater on a normal event sometime also probably in the future.
It might take a while.
Yeah, so anyway, Dean Battiato, thank you for your time. And this, by the way, was brought to you by the fine folks at Havana Garage. Havana Garage in the Old Market. Tell them that Becca sent you when you stop on by. Tell them that I pointed you in the right direction. Havana Garage in the Old Market. Also, like our Facebook page. We got a Facebook page, some behind-the-scenes stuff that you can go and find out what's going on around here, plus links to all of our podcasts. It's on the Becca's Talking Facebook page. Till next time, take care, and bye, y'all.